This is Sportish.
Do it better.
This is Sportish. This is Sportish. This is Sportish. This is Sportish.
This is Sportish. Hey, everybody, welcome in, whether you're joining us on For the Fans, FTFX.com, YouTube, or your favorite place to listen to podcasts. My name is Jeff Brault. He's Dr. Keith Stroller, director of the School of Communication and Media at Montclair State University. And Keith, we never thought this day would come, but we are able to begin this program with big endorsement news. Yes, finally, someone in the Sportish orbit has been sponsored. Now, it's not you. It's not me. It's not this show.
No.
It's 2020 Sportish Guest of the Year, Jay Friedman. And this is absolutely true, absolutely 100% correct, that Jay Friedman now has an endorsement deal with Athletic Brewing, a non-alcoholic beer. And you can use promo code jasonf20 to receive 20% off your first order of Athletic Brewing non-alcoholic beer. How about that, Keith?
So, and you'll get to hear more about that. I believe Jay Friedman might, of course, not only is he 2021 Guest of the Year, was it 2020 Guest of the Year?
2020.
I was being presumptive, obviously. Boy, knock on wood, may have jinxed him there. But he is also now the official fill-in host of Sportish. And so he's kind of like a godfather, I suppose, of Sportish, and will be maybe filling in even next week for those of you that do or don't want to tune in for that experience. So he got the endorsement deal. And I'm going to ask the obvious question. I'll throw it out there. Did he get that because of his involvement with Sportish? Do we assume that?
Well, I mean, if he did, I do feel like we should be entitled to a piece of the back end, no?
One thing I believe that's in our contract is that Sportish sponsorship deals, there is some kind of cut with the network. So I'm wondering if he has to give like some percentage of that percentage off to For the Family. There is something contractually. So this may get, like everything, mired in legal. And so I hope for Jay Friedman's sake that this doesn't end up costing him more than it's worth. I assume he's getting an ample supply of a multi beverage that will do absolutely nothing to make him feel better.
Of non-alcoholic beer. Now, Keith, you are something of a teetotaler, right? You do not drink alcohol. Would you ever drink a non-alcoholic beer?
I don't see any reason to. Why would I do that?
Completely agree. I've never understood this. And apparently this category is blowing up.
Sure.
Are there people who like the taste of beer so much, but hate the fact that you can get a little buzz from it? Like, it seems like a very small niche. I'm constantly surprised when people are like, it's the fastest growing segment of the beverage world. I'm like, well, really?
So I will tell you, when I was in college, we wanted to throw a party with fake beer just to watch everyone pretend to be like, I'm so drunk. And be like, no, you're not. But it seemed like a lot of money.
You really wanted to have a placebo effect party.
I did.
You just wanted to trick people into thinking they were drunk, but not actually being drunk. Because you think that's how being drunk works? You think it's a state of mind?
Is that not the most Ivy League party idea ever?
It's really amazing that Cornell's not in America's top 10 party schools. Move over, Arizona State.
We're throwing near beer parties and documenting it for science.
Remember that stupid stuff you did and blamed on being drunk? Joke's on you, it was O'Doul's.
You're just stupid.
You just regret making out with him.
No, that ham doesn't look like the Virgin Mary. Not at all. You made that up. No, I don't know why I have a ham in my house.
not only are you now drinking alcohol, you're also eating meat. This is what happens, Keith, when you drink too much near beer.
So I don't know why it's not a category I find these products to be ironic. We also, our band, we wanted to come out playing because a lot of cool bands, they'd come out and the lead singer would be smoking a drag. And we used to want to come out with nothing but candy cigarettes. Just come out smoking,
Sure.
not smoking, but just with candy cigarettes hanging off our lip. But that's at least delicious. I love candy cigarettes. It's not a really, not something that's used.
That's not a take you hear very often, right? Most people are either okay with candy cigarettes existing and don't find them horrible, have never had one, because it's a hard candy to find,
Sure.
or, and I think this is fair, believe that they're trash. Very few people come out and say that they like them.
I just love them. They're funny. They're ironic. I just think they're fun.
Did either of your kids get any in their Halloween haul?
No, that would be vastly inappropriate. vastly inappropriate. I mean, if you're the house that's giving out candy cigarettes, you are definitely have done something wrong. You're not getting visitors. But has that ever happened? It must happen somewhere. No, the last time that I remember ever seeing candy cigarettes is the neighborhood pool, the snack bar at the neighborhood pool in the town I grew up in had them, and you could buy them for, a quarter or whatever they cost. I have not seen a candy cigarette since. It doesn't really fit into the modern ethos, I suppose. But I did, but I put that kind of in near beer in the same kind of category. But good for Jay. Now, Jay, as you may or may not know, likes to imbibe fairly regularly. Like, he is a bit of a beer connoisseur.
Now hold on. Are you telling me that Jay Friedman, now proud endorser of Athletic Brewing non-alcoholic beer, again, promo code jasonf20 for 20% off your first order. Are you telling me that
We're throwing this through the roof.
Tell him Sportish sent you. Are you telling me?
Time out. Do not type in whatever. You type in Sportish. Just type in Sportish. I want to see the traffic. Type in Sportish and see what happens.
Now, are you telling me that Jay Friedman, Sportish 2020 guest of the year and next week's fill-in host on this very program that you're watching right now, but spoiler alert, possibly not at the same time next week. We never know. Are you telling me that he may be endorsing a product that he does not believe in?
This may be one of those things, like, I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I don't always drink non-alcoholic beer, but when I'm drinking a beer in the middle of my 100-mile fantasy run, I like to have, that's what he needs to do. If he wants to be authentic in this, he needs to be out there, like, running his race, filming a commercial, like 48 miles in the middle of this thing. And he's like, you know what? I could really use a cool one right now, but the alcohol, I don't want that. I got 52 miles to go. And someone needs to hand him, like, what is this called? The
Athletic Brewing non-alcoholic beer. And promo code JasonF20 for 20% off your first order.
Your first, and I'm guessing final.
I mean, I can somewhat understand if you're a person that doesn't drink and you're out in a social situation with other people that do, and everybody's ordering a round of beers or whatever. I can understand wanting an option so that you feel like you could sort of fit in that scenario.
I mean, is peer pressure that much? I do what I want.
No, but I mean, I don't necessarily think it's peer pressure, but I can understand how you sort of want to try to fit in, right? I can at least get that. Are there people that drink beer, regular beer, but that also sometimes want a non-alcoholic beer? Like, that has to be such a narrow sliver of the population.
It's so filling too. Like, beer is kind of a filling thing. So you can't have it in the middle. Are there people that let's say you just can't stop yourself. Maybe you slide one in every other because you're like on Animal House.
So you want all the dehydration with none of the happy side effects. You want to feel full.
I'd love to be at a party where people are like shotgunning, like, near beer. Pool party,
guys! I can have a million of these. I don't feel it at all.
I'll tell you what, you drink enough of anything and it's going to make you sick. This is one of the truisms. So, I had in grad school, one of my go-to party drinks were Yoo-hoo shakes. And so it was you.
Of course it was.
I show up with
of course it was
like a 12-pack of Yoo-hoo. And then it was usually some kind of vodka. It was some kind of Kahlua, maybe an amaretto. And it was like kind of in the White Russian space, but Yoo-hoo was really the foundational. And then it was just whatever. And then there was ice. If you had some ice cream, you could throw that in. That was really your prerogative. I'd show up with a blender, all this and Yoo-hoo. And I can remember at one party that ended poorly for me.
Yeah, you mentioned the Yoo-hoo.
I didn't keep it all down at the end. And of course, I believe I had a reversal of fortune right as I was dropped off at my apartment in Gainesville. And I remember that happening and not knowing if it was because I may have had too much alcohol or because I just went through a case of Yoo-hoo. And I went with the latter. I'm like, nobody is supposed to keep that in. So it was just Yoo-hoo everywhere.
And, it's funny that is your exact story because I was going to, before you launched into that, I was going to ask if you had ever done a gallon challenge, which is where you drink a gallon of milk in one sitting, which is apparently impossible because it seems like something that you would have done at some point. And I think you just basically told me that you have because you used to mix your alcohol with Yoo-hoo. No wonder you don't drink anymore.
Just not good for you.
Here's what I love. I feel like everybody who's gone to college has that story where they're like, I cannot even smell Jägermeister or it's going to make me throw up. I love the fact that the alcohol that you can't drink is Yoo-hoo.
I still love Yoo-hoo. Took me a little while to get over it. Yoo-hoo's a great drink. It's chocolate water.
It's not a great drink. Chocolate milk is the nectar of the gods. Yoo-hoo is an irrelevant concoction. Like, why would you reach for a Yoo-hoo and not a chocolate milk?
I'll tell you right now, I would take a Yoo-hoo over a chocolate milk every day of the week.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you would say. Someone who thinks that Maid is better than Swingers and that candy corn is a good candy. You obviously would say that because I'm convinced that as soon as we turn this camera on, your only mission in life is to say stupid things that no one agrees with.
No, that is not true. I am not a contrarian. I say what I believe. And what I'm going to tell you, I'm going to use passcode. What is it? J Friedman.
Jason F20.
Jason F20. I'm going to use
for 20% off your first order of Athletic Brewing non-alcoholic.
Does it come in different flavors? Is there like a cinnamon spice one or something like that?
Well, you really don't drink beer. That's a great question. I wondered, they have like a non-alcoholic IPA, a non-alcoholic Pilsner, a non-alcoholic lager.
I'm going to drink
Could
one
you imagine
on the show.
Think about I already dislike beer snobs. Like, drink what you want to drink. You want to have a Bud Light, have a Bud Light. You want to have some crazy, IPA. Okay, go ahead and have that too. Drink what you like. I really dislike people that shame people for what they want to drink.
No, I agree.
I also dislike beer snobs. Are there non-alcoholic beer snobs? Like, if you have the non-alcoholic Pilsner, is someone
you show
to be
up
like,
in the no-duels? Have you show up in the no-duels? Or are they like, oh, Jesus, what a Luddite.
There's no craft in that. There's no artisan creation to that O'Doul's.
What is your thought, by the way, on a non-related but semi-related note? What do you think about French Laundry?
The restaurant in San Francisco?
Yeah.
I think it was at the time one of the best restaurants in the world, like in the top 5. And now I think it's probably in the top 20. I think its techniques and its style of cuisine are a little dated, but I think it's still good. And I would very much accept eating a meal there. Why did that come up?
A friend of mine was posting about being there, and he's just, just posting all this stuff. You get to visit the kitchen and the whole deal, and they just, does all this stuff.
That's an elite experience. You know what I think it's like? I think it's like when a really great NBA player enters sort of the almost twilight of their career. Like, they're still very, very good, but they're not the best in the world the way that they once were. That's what I think about the French Laundry.
It's like seeing the Rolling Stones like 10 years ago is what you're saying. They're still going to play the hits.
I think that's kind of exactly right. You're like, you can tell they're past their prime, but still way better than almost everything else that's out there.
Right. This is not going to help us get an endorsement deal with French Laundry because you've just disparaged. I'm sure they consider themselves to be a top 5 experience. I'm sure they do.
That's fine. As you know, Keith, as an aging athlete, you know that the mind still thinks you are, even when the body tells you you are not.
It looked like there was all kinds of food that just kept coming, like just dish after dish.
Speaking of mind and body not syncing up, as you and I were talking about the fact that Jay Friedman is now sponsored by Athletic Brewing non-alcoholic beer, promo code jasonf20 for 20% off your first order. You said to me, and by the way, the reason that he was sponsored is because he runs ultra marathons, which means that he'll run insane distances.
I think this is really for his podcast, The Pain Cave, which I'm sure it's very thrilling. They talk about running long distances. So if there's
the promo code is not Pain Cave 20 for 20% off your first order of Athletic Brewing non-alcoholic beer. It's Jason F 20 for 20% off your first order.
For his running, this for his running prowess. Then he better drink it while he's running.
I think he's a sponsored athlete.
Okay. All right.
And so this got us talking, and you had said to me, one of the most ludicrous things any human has ever said to another, for what sum of money would you run 100 miles in 24 hours? Right. And I said, well, there isn't one because I'd be a dead person. Like I would die. So you might as well tell me to run to the moon, which is about as realistic as you telling me to run 100 miles in 24 hours. And then you said, for $100 million, you wouldn't even try. Yeah. And I said, no. And then I go, well, you would try, wouldn't you? And you go, I would try. Do you actually think you could do it?
Oh, sure. 100%. Oh, I 100%. I mean, I was
100%. 100% believe you could run 100 miles in 24 hours. 100%.
Oh, yeah. No, I 100%. Now I believe in myself. I believe a lot of things, but I was a very good runner. And I mean, look, I would like to have had this challenge 10, 15 years ago, maybe even 20. Like that would be a lot easier. The physical trauma, like I'm going to end up in the hospital. By the way, here's the thing. This is what's going to really surprise you. Mm-hmm. If this got serious at the end of the day, this wouldn't even be about the $100 million. Like
of course not. And I honestly believe that you would do it for free, which is why Keith Struther, I'm going to throw 2 words at you right now because you said 100%, which was the wrong answer. Yeah. Those 2 words are prove it. 100% is an irrational level of confidence. No one should ever be 100% confident in anything. You should be 100% confident that the sun is going to rise tomorrow. I'll give you 99.9999 out to as many places as you want.
The nuclear holocaust nuclear holocaust is still an option. It's always on the table.
There will be a day when you are wrong. Like somebody's going to be like, well, tomorrow's another day. And the universe will be like, if only you knew.
Have you heard of a black hole? Stars do have an expiration date. Literally. They all go. It's a long process.
With 100% certainty. And by the way, 100 miles is roughly the distance of running from the middle of Manhattan to Independence Hall in Philadelphia, and then another 6 miles for good measure. So that's the distance. You believe you could run from New York City to Philadelphia in 24 hours.
I'm just going to get on the Jersey Turnpike. I'm going to go straight down. What exit is it? I'll hit a couple of Wawas on the way down.
Oh, yeah. What do we got? 2 $4 Shizzlies today? Yeah, give me a ham, egg, and cheese. Because you have to eat meat for this. Eat the protein.
And give me a couple of those non-alcoholic IPAs as well. I got a 20% off code.
Do you guys take promo code JasonF20?
I 100% could do it. I 100% could do it.
100%. Well, good news, everyone. 2 weeks from now, Sportish Live will be Keith Strudler finishing a 100-mile run.
Just waiting. I mean, I'll go straight to the hospital.
Here's a serious question. Someone like you who has run triathlons, who has run at a high level, how much training and preparation would you need to prepare to run 100 miles in 20? Like if I just said, hey, you have to do it tomorrow for $10 million, would you have a chance?
Yeah, I think I would because the pace we're talking about, there's a lot of near walking involved. So I think I would do it.
If you take no breaks, you have to run more than 4 miles in an hour.
Yeah.
That's with no breaks and no sleep.
I don't like, I mean, I honestly, I know I'd make through the first 50, like, and well above pace. I don't know what happens to the body back into that. Like, I mean, I'm going to lay some things out there. I'm going to need some Depends undergarments. Like, I'm going to need a lot of things.
No. Well, and this is what, when you start to actually think about the logistics of this is what makes it difficult, right? Because it's easy to think, all right, so I got to do 4.1 or whatever miles in an hour. All right, but you got to start to think you have to eat. But I would just think the stress of trying to manage the pace would be the hardest thing, right? Because if you do it in 24 hours and 1 minute, theoretically, you just not only wasted.
That's the worst. That's the worst.
So you got to manage this pace.
Yeah, you got to plan to do the under. I actually just watched an interesting, I can't remember the name of it, an interesting doc about the Arizona State point shaving scandal from several years back, and how essentially the bookie kept saying, you need, if the line was 12, told them you cannot be over 6 or 7. We need a cushion, right? That's what you kind of need with this thing. But I assume all my bodily functions will start to, I mean, it'll end probably about my 45, 50. Like, I mean, the blood, see, the only thing I can't say for certain, there's going to be a lot of bleeding. I mean, the feet are going to go like this is like your tires go first. Like the engine's still good. The tires start to go.
Sure.
I mean, that's my concern. I do believe I will go straight to the hospital and possibly not return. Like,
well, that's what would happen to me. And so I have to ask this question as someone who could not do this, and as someone who's never run a marathon or has any about how distance running impacts the body, Keith. I think the question that everyone wants to know is what's going to happen to your nipples?
I'm wondering, and this is not something anyone wants to hear, whether you go shirtless on this thing.
Ooh, so just to prevent nipple chafing.
Well, it's not just nipple, it's everywhere. It's all, I mean, there are parts of your body that touch each other that you're probably not aware of that, I mean, not for nothing, your nipples might be the least to your problems. I'm going to tell you, there are some other issues that you would become keenly aware of. And so without a full good on coat, I mean, the most important product, Vaseline. Vaseline is where the action is.
While we're on the topic of potential issues that might befall you in a long distance sporting event, I want to get your opinion on something, Keith, that happened in Spain a few weeks ago. There was a 55-mile cycling race, and you've participated in some long-distance cycling races, right?
Sure, of course.
So imagine you're in a 55-mile race. You've gone 54.98 miles. Your yards, or I suppose because it's in Spain, meters from the finish line.
They don't know what yards are. No.
And a lady runs out onto the course in front of your bike, and you smack into her. You go tumbling, the lady goes tumbling, and you lose that race. How does that make you feel? Because this actually happened. This is not a hypothetical. This actually happened in a 55-mile cycling race in Spain. A guy was basically ready to put his hands up and pedal his way to the finish line, and some lady decided that was the right time to try to get from the left side of the course to the right. So she ran into the guy who won.
So, and I'm sure. So now, if this is the time when if we had a producer, the video would be playing at the bottom of the screen because it's on social and YouTube. If we had a producer like Michael Wallace, apparently, who is, I mean, are we allowed? Is this? We're not even acknowledge his successes, are we?
Well, he is now a 3-time Emmy Award winner. He won again. It's becoming a Mike Wallace dynasty.
And so I'm going to tell you right now, all we seem to be doing is springboarding people to new success. We bring Jay Friedman on. He's sponsored by the best non-alcoholic beer company in the world. And we bring Michael Wallace on, and next thing you know, he turns into Jack Ford, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about here. In fact, Jack Ford, I believe, has 2 Emmys. Now, granted, his Emmys are actually for things that he did on the air. Michael's are for glomming on to a large operation where they give out Emmys like M&Ms on Halloween. You still deserve
we should point out that our former producer / intern, Mike Wallace, won local Emmys. These are New York Emmys. These are not Emmys. He's not Susan Lucci out here winning a daytime Emmy. So let's not, let's make sure that we keep this thing in its proper perspective.
So getting back to the cycling thing. So I want, and this guy was on a mountain bike. So that's a grueling race. This is not like even a road. This is a 55 miles. So I don't actually know where the course was, but whatever he was finishing, it was not pleasant. Like that's a grueling day he went through, and he had made the definitive break. That's kind of what happens in a lot of these races is with a little ways to go, they're still packed together and someone makes a break. So he made the break and he broke the pack. This race was over. He was basically grinding it out. He was probably 20 yards from doing that. Hands up in the air, right?
I think it's even less than that because I believe the camera that caught the woman running in front of him was the finish line camera. Like, I really do believe he was like a couple rolls of the tire away from the stripe.
The worst part. And so this woman walks out and she's like on her phone. It looks like she's just not paying attention. Some guy had walked in front like a little ways before. And I guess she kind of figured like this is the crossing area, right? And when you watch the video, the look on his face at that moment, like when you go frame by frame, it is not good. This is like, I imagine this is the same look like someone who's like having an affair has when their actual partner walks in. Like it's that moment of absolute fear. And it's also, it's a look of destiny of knowing how the story is going to end. What I find, because I've showed this to a couple people at work, what I'm surprised at is how everyone's first reaction. So this guy goes flying, like he goes to the ground. It is horrific. He has right to the hospital. She oddly, she kind of walked away. It looked worse for her. She went just got thrown. What's really sad a little bit is everyone's first reaction when they see it is to start laughing. I have not shown it to anyone where their first reaction isn't to laugh. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. I can only speak for myself and you. I saw it and I laughed. I showed it to you and you laughed. So yeah, the story checks out.
But I mean, what sickness is that we all just uncomfortably start laughing at these people that for all we know could be dead, right? And so the thing that, like, there's a few things that are hard to unpackage here. How mad are you at this lady? Like, how much anger do you build up? Like, how do you get like, this is a real question in your lifetime. And how do you get past that anger? Like, how does that work?
I mean, I don't know if you can, because this underscores the stupidity of the sport of cycling. Imagine if in any other sport, you could just run out onto the field, impact the result of the game, and they were just like, well, that's what happens. Like, imagine if you're trying to return a kickoff for a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and somebody just runs out of the field, tackles you, and like, well, down at the 30-yard line, first down.
It would have to be Morgana. Yeah, we have to assume it's Morgana the kissing bandit, because that would be the most logical.
Like, imagine if somebody runs onto the court at Wimbledon, kicks the racket out of Roger Federer's hands, and they're like, 15 love Nadal. Like,
it is true. If you think about it that way, the way they're like, well, he didn't cross the line. Right. He has to finish the race. Like this, it is almost out of like a National Lampoon movie where they're like, well, you do have to finish the race, right? It feels.
Anything can happen.
It's almost like the Really Rottens from like the cartoon, right? From the Laugh Olympics. So, and what it sounds like is he didn't win. Like the other guy won.
He didn't win. Now, he never crossed the line. Not only did he not win, he didn't finish second, third, fourth. He, I believe, took a DNF. It's like he never even participated.
Well, how bad would it be if like everyone gets a finisher's medal and they didn't give him one? Like, I'm sorry, technically, you gotta get. He's got like what?
You got me right in the middle of sipping my water there. What if he was like, I need one of those foil blankets so that I can make a tourniquet for my injuries. They're like, well, these are only for finishers.
Blankets are for winners. It's now, but how do you now? Did anyone interview the second place guy?
No idea. Haven't seen it.
How do you feel about that's the real, like, what do you do with that? Do you
That's really tough. I mean, you have to, right? 'Cause you can't give it back. Like you can't, but you can't also celebrate it. Like you have to be like, yep, I understand.
What if it comes?
Like,
What if it comes with $50,000? Are you telling me you walk away? Oh, come on!
You have to. It's sport. Technically, you won.
Yeah, but you
like,
can still.
It's stupid. It's stupid that you won, but you technically won.
That's not what happened. That's not what happened at the end of spoiler alert. Put your hand not at Jason Bateman's Bad Words, a movie we've talked about. It's not at the end of that. That's not what happened. The little kid who won did give half of his money to Jason Bateman. And you know what he did with it? He bought a convertible. That's what he did. And then he picked the kid up at school and they went and hunted down the bullies. That was a huge spoil. I literally gave away the entire movie.
No one was watching it. The movie came out in 2012. You really think people out there were like, it's been in my Netflix queue for years?
Well, the algorithms have figured out I'm a sucker for 2005 to like 2014 movies. A, B, every studio now is like, damn it, we own the rights to these things. Someone's going to watch them. So they're pushing. This is like day old fish. Like they are pushing these movies out. I watched the other, I'm not quite done with it, the Ryan Reynolds film where he's trying to, he was fat in high school and then he got to a record producer and now he's still trying to get back with Amy Smart.
Just Friends.
Oh, you know that film?
Of course I know that film. It's Just Friends.
I'm not.
See, I've watched all these movies you watch. The difference between you and me is you try to tell me that they're the greatest films ever made.
No, I don't.
And I recognize that they are what they are. You think Blades of Glory is the best sports movie ever made? You absolutely think these are the best.
Blades
movies.
of Glory is comedic genius. Blades of Glory is comedic genius. Comedic genius.
This is the part where Keith sings a Black Eyed Peas song.
We're gonna dance to one song and one song only. I'm gonna get you drunk. It's like, what does that even mean? No one knows what it means. That's what makes it mysterious. Like
that's not the line. I can't believe you messed up the line. Not only did you mess up the iconic line from The Godfather, I'm gonna make you an offer.
I did that on purpose.
Can't say no
I did that
to.
on purpose.
You messed up the next icon. This line is so iconic. It was sampled by Kanye West.
What was the
Nobody
line?
knows what it means, but it's provocative.
I'm always like 20% off on my cultural references.
You're gonna be like cheersing somebody. You're like, hey, here's looking at you, friend.
I just don't get it all. But that movie is so brilliant. You know who does a great job in that movie is the coach, the guy who was what was that actor? He was Coach in the TV show Coach.
Fred T. Nelson.
Bingo. He was a great skating coach too. He was
coach.
Great in that.
He's Coach. I'm now in my head trying to think of other iconic movie lines that you can mess up. Looks like we're gonna need a bigger water transport vessel.
You know what? I'm surprised. I watched Jaws this summer at the beach. You know, they do the outdoor movies at our lake.
Okay.
That movie's not scary. It really isn't. I thought I'd be scared by it.
Okay.
So I was a little surprised. Like the shark does look fake.
Spoiler alert. Even though you're probably watching this show on Thursday, I mean, yeah, maybe we don't know.
Yeah, you might be.
The day that we record it is Tuesday, Election Day in America. And congratulations to your preferred candidate who hopefully won.
Can you believe the Virginia election went to?
Now, the sports news surrounding this most recent election day is that, Keith, it was the first election day since the NCAA was mandated to give their athletes a day off from practice so that they could go vote. Now, I hate to hit you with another spoiler alert. Most of them didn't do that.
So now I did hear, though, in some cases, they did provide transportation.
Okay.
They did provide transportation to the polls. So they made it very easy to go vote. Now, can I be like, get off my lawn here for a second?
You can, because I think I'm going to agree with you. So yes, you certainly can.
I mean, look, they're providing transportation. They are making it very easy. I understand people have busy lives. I voted at 7 something this morning after I dropped Sloan off at school. Well, first of all, after we had an argument about what he was wearing and why he couldn't get his ass out of bed a little bit earlier, dropped him off at school, then went and voted. By the way, I had one of those moments when I was voting. So we have like a sophisticated kind of voting thing where we actually just press the button now. There's no pencil, no nothing, and something lights up. And I was a little fazed by it when I walked in because I pressed and it just wasn't working. So I came out, I was like, hey, I'm not sure. And she's like, oh, do you not know how to vote? Like an old lady. I was like in front of everyone, like, oh, do you not know how to vote? Like I've never voted before. And I was like, no, I know how to vote. I'm having a little trouble. So a senior woman came in and explained to me, and she's like, you just press this and and then she was like, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I was like, I know how voting works. I know it just didn't light up when I pressed it. And so at any rate, I mean, do you really have to cancel practice? But something that, by the way, most of the athletes on the team probably really want to do. Like, do you really have to cancel that so people can vote? I think it's fair to say if you can't get any other time, we will know everyone is excused if they need to be. We will make all, but the idea that you must cancel, and I actually think it sets to me, in some ways, it sets a real bad set of expectations about democracy. Like the idea that we shouldn't take that responsibility serious enough that we carve out some time. And if we have to talk to coach, like that to me is, it seems to be pandering to a lowest common denominator. And this is, by the way, in no way to marginalize people who really are challenged in getting to the vote because they have children, double jobs they're working. Polling booths have been kind of created almost to make it difficult for them. I get that. Like, this is not that. This is largely college students who probably have a little bit more available time, for whom transportation is being provided. You don't need to cancel practice. Get off my lawn.
So I do agree with all of that. I'm glad you checked your privilege by recognizing that there are people for whom it is difficult to vote.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I am in full agreement with you. I either believe Election Day should be a national holiday and everybody's in the same playing field. No one has to, everybody's got the day off, paid, of course. I believe we should address the systemic issues of we should have more polling places and a much easier access for people to be able to vote. I'm with you, especially in the college setting, right? Where most students are not from the district in which they're in. I would imagine the vast majority are registered to vote somewhere outside of that situation. So they're getting an absentee ballot anyway, which you can fill out days in advance. I'm with you. There's no reason that you can't have a 2/3 hour practice. And by the way, that's all these practices are. You think about a workday being 8 hours. A practice is a third of that at its absolute most.
Yep.
I'm with you. There is no reason that you cannot spend 2 hours of your day at practice and still have plenty of other time to go vote. Or, like you mentioned, if for some reason you can't because you work another job or your class schedule doesn't allow, you should be allowed to have an excused absence. But this blanket one-size-fits-all policy that every college athlete across every sport will not practice on this day so they have time to go vote, it's overkill.
Yeah, it's overkill. It sets a very bad precedent. So, whatever. I do think if I were a coach, I would not be thrilled about that, having that overreach, that government overreach into my practice session.
I mean, the first thing I mean,
if there's one thing, if anything is sacred, is Clemson football practice. That's it. I bet you Dabo Sweeney held practice. I bet you he did.
A lot of these schools hold practice very early in the morning so that they get them out of the way so that, the kids can go to college and, do their learning for the majority of the day. Like, why would you not be allowed to have a practice from 6 to 8 a.m. when the polls aren't open anyway?
I've never seen a more unhappy group of huge individuals than on when they have run week for Florida football. And you get up on campus at like 6 a.m. and you see offensive linemen doing like a 2-mile trek around campus. These are large. It's like watching a Mack truck run. And it's always at a time like you start to ask yourself, like, well, why do they have to run at 5:30 in the morning? There isn't a great reason. There isn't a great reason, but it's just what they do. It is worth, like, if you're at a major Division I university, you should find out from the sports information director, when do they do their running? And it is worth every penny, every penny. Let me tell you what, 2 great runs to watch. Me finishing the 100-mile trek by the Liberty Bell, and giant offensive linemen doing run training before football season.
Last topic of the day. And unfortunately, apologies to Shakira. We're going to run out of time. However.
Oh, we're not going to get to Shakira?
We're not. I'm sorry. I don't think we're going to have enough time.
You know that's
Spoiler
a
alert,
story.
Shakira had a purse stolen by wild boars while in the park with her son. 100% true story. They stole her purse, and Shakira in the media was upset that none of the other people in the park helped her retrieve the purse from the wild boars. So she said to sit there, wait for them to eat her son's sandwich. Then they left the bag alone, and she just went back and picked it up. We were going to talk about how that was crazy, that Shakira was like, I can't believe no one helped like accost these wild boars.
I heard it's even worse than that. I heard that the deer that were in the park did nothing. I heard that the unleashed dogs didn't help. Like, I heard it's even worse than that. So it's a tragedy.
So yeah, apologies to Shakira and her purse that she recovered. Really, apologies to the wild boars. But the last thing that we need to talk about, Keith, is your
probably now sausage at this point.
Your favorite sport, of course, baseball. And we have reached one of our great traditions. Again, we tape on Tuesday, so either congratulations to the Atlanta Braves or boy, I can't wait for Game 7. But
we should go out on a limb. We should be like, oh, Game 7 is going to be. I think there will be a Game 7. This is where we're doing predictions that will be validated before the show even airs. I think there's going to be a Game 7. Why not?
I'm certain that it ends in 6. Now, there's an annual tradition in baseball now whenever the World Series rolls around, and that is that we have to complain about how long baseball games are. And look, they are too long, and they're too long for a multitude of reasons. 1, the game seems a lot longer because it's inconsistent action. 2, yes, there's too many commercial breaks. 3, yes, pitchers and hitters take too much time in between each pitch. All of those things are true. Here's why I'm tired of people complaining about it. Keith Strudler, you are an ardent disliker of baseball. You are not most of the people that are complaining are people that are watching the games anyway. Is there anything in the world that baseball could do, speeding the game up, whatever it is, that would suddenly make you interested in it again?
Bring those wild boar onto the field. How about if you can have that crazy lady running in front of, how about this? That crazy lady, looking at her cell phone, she gets to randomly get released in front of, like, when people are stealing second. That's not bad.
That's not bad. And in true Spanish cycling race fashion, that runner's out.
That's true. I can't wait when they just go head first collision, and then the second baseman walks over and tags him out while he's laying there semi-unconscious.
You know what? You might have just nailed it, right? Because the joke that I always use is, you want to get me interested in NASCAR, have half the cars drive in the other direction. If you want to rekindle some interest in baseball, imagine if you're rounding third trying to score the winning run, and the other team gets to launch another player at you to try to knock you off the path. All of a sudden, I'm a little more interested in how that game comes to its conclusion. My overarching point here, though, is the people that are watching baseball or complaining about it are going to watch anyway. The people that aren't watching baseball because it's too long or too boring or whatever they want to say aren't going to watch it anyway. There's not anything that baseball can do to get people that aren't watching to start watching. There just isn't something that they can reasonably do, I think, that's going to bridge that divide. So let's spare us all the time and the belly aching and just get over it. Yes, the games are a little bit too long. Yes, they should try to make them faster. No, it's not going to grow the game. There's nobody out there not watching because it's 8 minutes longer than they would like.
This is your get off my lawn moment.
Get off my lawn. I'm just
by the way, these bright uniforms with the sunsets on them, I've had enough. Bring back pinstripes and grays. That's it.
Listen, make the game better. Yes, absolutely. Make the game faster. Yes, absolutely. Stop trying to tell me that that's what's going to get people like you to start watching it and being interested in it again.
They're worried about me. I'm dead weight to them. They're worried about younger people that they're trying to bring into the game.
Yes.
But you're going to tell me
kids,
it doesn't matter anyway. You're just going to.
Exactly.
I am surprised. I think this is a regional thing. I'm surprised at how many kids in Sloan's high school are still interested in baseball. Because I actually thought that this was the death of baseball, right?
No.
And everyone was playing soccer and video games. And the reality is there are a bunch of kids that are either trying out for the baseball team this is not scientific. I am in a region where baseball should be popular. It's a suburban sport that's always had a legacy here. But it doesn't seem to be like, it seems like people are interested in this series.
And that's the other side of this argument is the sport is not dying. It isn't. There are tons of people that go to these games. There are tons of people that are watching on television. Stop comparing everything to the NFL because nothing is ever going to be like the NFL, which figured out the secret sauce of time commitment, which is 4 hours a week on a day that no one has to work. And just the arguments don't make sense. Stop telling me that it's for the kids. We have to start the games in the afternoon so the kids will watch. They're still going to be playing Call of Duty instead of watching the baseball if they're not interested in it. You want to get kids interested in it, you got to get it on YouTube and crap like that and have the things easily digestible in Snapchat. Create the social media stars.
You're literally making up stuff. You're like, we just got to snap it out. We just got to snap. And we just put it out there and we put it on the face watch and then we put it out there and we put it in the small bits and then we have the players talk on the video games and we just go.
You do your ticks, you do your talks, and all of a sudden all the kids are watching. They're all flocking.
They don't win anything. We do it all on Bitcoin and then we just get out there.
But I am tired of every year hearing about how
we do a nifty one, we do a nifty two, we do a hallelujah.
You get it on the blockchain. Once you get baseball on the blockchain, it's going to be the most popular sport in the world. But until then, right, until you're in the fax machine era, no one's watching.
We insta suite it, and then we get them on there, and we get the influence face, and then we do that on the face watch, and then all the kids, they all get on their phones, and they just chit chat with each other on the tick chat, and then they talk about it all day long, and then it's America's sport again. You got to believe there is some boardroom meeting that sounds a little like that. Can we get the tick chat? Can we get that in here? Who is the guy that does the tick chat? We bring the faces on, we get the athletes, and then they swing the bats, and then the kids just watch it. Can we do that?
That's all the time we have for this episode of Sportish, where we solved, Keith, and I'm impressed by this, almost all of the world's most consequential problems.
Yeah, the only thing I don't know is if our good friend, I'm literally having a senior moment. I can't remember names. The originator of the wrap sandwich is running.
Bobby Valentine.
Yeah, I hope he won.
Running for mayor in Connecticut. So, all right, that's all for this episode of Sportish. That doesn't mean you can't experience it again. You can find archives on YouTube at ftfnext.com or wherever it is that you like to listen to your podcast. Remember, use promo code jasonf20 for 20% off your first order of Athletic Brewing non-alcoholic beer. He's Keith. I'm Jeff. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Sportish. See you next time.